I want to show you something a little bit different today. Normally on this channel I look after cheap watches. This one's a bit more expensive than usual, but at less than £1,000 it still comes in the category that some viewers would consider cheap, although not myself. Now my wife bought this for me a few years ago and I was really surprised because she's not a watch person, and it was a shock to me that I'd received something that's really quite unique in horological terms. You see, in 2016 the Bulova company brought out the Bulova Curv, and it's the world's first curved chronograph movement, and the Curv range utilised this movement, and I think it's actually the world's first curved chronograph, whether quartz or mechanical. Anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at the watch. First, let's have a bit of background about Bulova. Bulova were born in New York in 1875 and came to epitomise 20th century American innovation and commerce. They have a real commercial and horological significance, boasting both the world's first radio advertisement, followed by the world's first television advertisement. Before the advent of quartz in 1960, they produced the world's second, after Hamilton, electric battery watch with their Accutron movement, which used an electromagnetically vibrated tuning fork to produce accuracy of a then unheard of 2 seconds a day. They also boasted another first with the first privately owned watch on the moon, when astronaut David Scott wore his own watch after his NASA-issued Omega lost its crystal. The firm, though bought by Citizen in 2008, still has its headquarters on the 29th floor of the Empire State Building in New York City. In 2010, Bulova launched their Precisionist movements, which give us quartz movements with sweeping second hands and enhanced accuracy by using triple-pronged quartz crystals which vibrate at 262 kHz, which is 8 times the standard frequency of 3200-768 Hz. What we're looking at today is another first. In 2016, Bulova unveiled the world's first and so far only curved chronograph movement, the Caliber 8137, debuting at Baselworld in their Curv line. The Caliber 8137 shares this technology with the Precisionist, but Bulova reserves its sweeping second hands for the Precisionist range. Both ranges of watches claim an accuracy of 10 to 15 seconds a year. Here we have a nicer box than normal. It's made of really good textured cardboard, quite solid actually, like board. It has Bulova on the lid, a little tab there for lifting the lid up. The lid lifts up and the front of the box also opens. There's a sort of velvet inside surrounding the watch, and the watch is on a cushion in the middle. And here's the watch itself. We'll just take it out just now, set it aside, you see. Now inside, this is the number of links that I had to remove. I have a 7.5 inch wrist, so there are plenty of links there to go up to about 8.5 inches, 9 inches I would think. And here's the little tag that came with the watch. Now on it you see there is a price there quoted as £700. Now my wife didn't pay anything like that for it. I'll show you the pricing of these things later on. Anyway, there we go. There's the box, the unboxing experience. You can see underneath there's a little shelf. You have to give it a dunt to get it out. And there's the manual there. Just the usual little sort of instruction book. I know some people like these things. I'll sort of throw them away and never bother with them. Here's a shot of the watch on my wrist. Now I have a 7.5 inch wrist. And the measurements of this watch are 47mm lug to lug. But that's lug tip to lug tip measured in a straight line, not taking into account the curvature of the case. This is quite a big watch, and if it wasn't for its curved nature, it wouldn't sit well on my wrist. The watch is 43mm across, which is also a slightly bigger diameter than I'm happy with. Usually I like the 40mm size, or maybe even a little bit smaller. Here's the weight of the watch. It's 146 grams. Now it's a nice chunky feeling watch, but it sits very smoothly on the wrist, so you bear that weight very comfortably indeed. Disregarding titanium, I'm one of those people that equates weight with solidity and quality, so I'm quite happy with this. Here's another view of the face of the watch. The dial's decorated with a beautiful diagonal stripe. It's metallic grey, and the photographs don't really do it justice. It catches the light beautifully, looking like rippled carbon fibre or something similar to that. There's a minute track round the outside, and the markers are applied rose gold, with the 12 o'clock marker in the Bulova tuning fork logo also applied in rose gold. The subdials have the seconds shown at the 6 o'clock position, and at the 9 o'clock position you see the hours, and the minutes are at the 3 o'clock position. The whole dial is surrounded by a nice rose gold bezel. It really is a pretty dial, and it is the absolute standout feature of this watch. It's gorgeous. Here we have another view showing the hands. Now, as you can see, the minute hand curves. It curves downwards so it doesn't interfere with the underside of the crystal as it goes round, following the curvature of the case and indeed the whole watch. The hands are loomed, and they're loomed with quite good quality loom. But the strange thing is there's no loom pips on the indices at all, which I think is a bit of an own goal for Bulova here. Here's a view of the bracelet. It's a sort of flattened Jubilee bracelet. The links are all solid, and the articulation is really nice, so it sits very nicely and comfortably on the wrist. Here's a view of the underside of the end links. They're solid, and it's a 22mm lug width if you wanted to get a different strap for it. We're looking here at the case back of the watch, which is held in place with 4 screws. The case back follows the concave contour of the underside of the watch, and the watch is only quoted to be water resistant to 30 metres. Here we can see the butterfly clasp, which is machined, not stamped. It's stamped with stainless steel on it, and it has the Bulova logo on it as well. It's quite nicely engineered and fits quite flat underneath the bracelet, between the bracelet and your wrist. Here's the Marmite feature. Look at the second hand, it's ticking twice a second. The curve range don't have the smooth sweeping second hand of the Precisionist watches, although they do have the same high frequency movement. You'll love this or you'll hate it. I thought the watch was broken when I got it. This view of the watch on wrist shows the whole point of it. The watch's case, case back, the movement and the crystal all contour round the wrist, making for a very comfortable wear. The watch wears its weight and its size really well. These are pretty, quirky watches, but if you want to get one, what do you have to pay? This particular model was one of the introductory models released at Baselworld in 2016. At that time its list price was £699 in the UK. Having a look here at Bulova's UK website, we can see that they're actually asking for £599, which is a bit of a discount over the last 5 years. There are other models in the range you see here. A lot of them are Gerald Genta-esque Hublot lookalikes, which, if you're interested, are in titanium with exhibition case backs, although the exhibition case back is a bit of a letdown with the quartz movement. I mentioned before that my wife didn't pay anywhere near that for it, and we can see here that the watch is available for £349 today on the internet. Didn't take me long to Google this. I hope you've enjoyed this watch. I hope you like it, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. Even if you haven't, I think you'll agree it's quite a quirky, interesting thing. So I'll leave you with that until next time. Bye for now.